everyone, welcome back to the Library of Parthos. My name is Sarah and today we are trying something new. If you watched my video from a couple of weeks ago, I talked about kind of my reading habits when I was younger, how I kind of fell out of love with reading and how I got back into it. One of the things that I mentioned in that video is that when I was a teenager, I somehow was under the impression that I had read all of the good fantasy books that existed and there were no more. And I don't know where I got that idea, and I know now how wrong I was, but I missed out on a lot. And through conversations with friends, family, watching BookTube, I've come to realize that there was quite a bit that I probably would have really enjoyed reading as a teenager. I just either didn't know about it or thought like, oh, I've never really heard of that, so it must not be good. So I decided, let's go back and read some of those things, and then I will decide, did I miss out on this? So would teenager, preteen slash teenage Sarah have enjoyed this book? And did I miss out because I didn't read it? So the first book that we're going to talk about is The Alchemist by Michael Scott. This is the first book in the Immortal Secrets of Nicholas Flamel series. And I can't remember exactly how many books are in this series. I want to say that there are like 6 books and then a couple of novellas, maybe like 2 or 3 of them. But I only have the first book so far. I think I am gonna order the rest of them. A little bit of a spoiler there, must tell you that I liked it. But so I'll give a very quick summary. This is a pretty complex book. I'll get into some of my thoughts and then let you know if I missed out and I feel like I would have enjoyed this as a teenager. Okay, so to start off, this is kind of a complex book because there's just so much pulled from fantasy, mythology, all of that stuff. But to keep it very simple, this story is about twin siblings. I think they're about like 15 or 16 when the story starts. Their names are Josh and Sophie. They are currently in San Francisco for the summer. Their parents are archaeologists who are somewhere else on a dig. I can't remember their location. But Josh and Sophie are just kind of working at a bookstore and a coffee shop over their summer break. And the people that they are working for, one of them is Nicholas Flamel, and they find out that there's this whole world going on around them that they had no idea about, and they get kind of dragged into this battle between Nicholas Flamel and some other beings who are, you know, ancient and powerful and all of that good stuff. So that's kind of a spoiler-free summary of the first book. One of the first things that I was interested in this book is, as I said before, the number of like mythological characters that are in this. So Michael Scott, okay, I guess I should probably start with the fact that the author's name is Michael Scott, which teenage Sarah would not have appreciated that, but adult Sarah laughs a little bit every time she picks up this book, and wonders how Michael Scott's book, How I Manage, ever turned out. Anyway, random thoughts that happen while I'm reading this. Anyway, the first thing that I think we should probably talk about are the main characters. Were the main characters intriguing? Josh and Sophie were pretty interesting main characters. I feel like, so this, I mean, this is for like a middle grade YA book, this is pretty large, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, the plot takes place over like 2 days. So like this is 2 days, and in those 2 days, so much happens. Maybe it's 3. I don't. It's less than a week, but so much happens. So we get a little bit of a glimpse of Josh and Sophie into like their normal teenage lives before everything goes absolutely insane. So we don't get to learn a ton about them. Really just how they react to everything that's going on around them. I would say they have a really strong relationship with each other because they're twins. So that was really sweet, and I enjoyed reading about that. I don't think we got to learn a ton about them as people. So I'm hoping that if I do continue reading the series, I'm hoping that that's some, like, we get to learn a little bit more about just what they're like on their own. Because so far they've been together for the entire, well, 3 days, 2 days, whatever it was. So I loved all of the different characters pulled from various mythologies. So we have, obviously Nicholas Flamel is one of the main characters. He's pretty involved in the story. He owns the bookshop that Josh is working at, and his wife Perry owns the coffee shop that Sophie is working at, and they both have some level of magic. Dr. John Dee is kind of the main villain that we meet in this story, and he is after pages of the codex that Nicholas Flamel has. So some of the other characters, or just kind of beings, we have some stone golems. Maybe I think they're made out of mud. I'm not really sure. But I thought that those were super cool. We have the Morgan, we have Bastet, we have Hecate. I say Hecate, but it's written out phonetically as Hecate in the book. We have the Witch of Endor. I'm trying to think who else we have in here. I think that might sum it all up for the first book. I did read, so there's like, you know, a sample of the second book at the end, and I did see Machiavelli in there as well. So it's just like, it's everybody from everywhere, and it's super cool. So teenage Sara, preteen Sara, was also really big into Greek mythology and Arthurian legends, so she definitely would have loved that some of those characters are in here. Also like Egyptian mythology as well, so all of that would have been very attractive to preteen / teenage Sara, and that would have been a good reason to pick this up. Why she didn't, I don't know, you can ask her. So as Josh and Sophie are kind of running away from Dr. John Dee, when they finally realize that the person they've been working for, Nick Fleming, is actually Nicholas Flamel, that he and his wife have some level of immortality, that they have magical powers, that they have these pages from the Book of Abraham the Mage, I think is what it's called, or the Codex. Those names are kind of used interchangeably. So they find out all of that information, and then they kind of just have to run because Dr. John Dee is after the pages of the Codex. He's also after the twins. I'm sure it won't come as much of a surprise that the twins also have some level of magic themselves. There is a prophecy I think it's in the book, the Codex, that says that the twins will they'll either be like I don't know how it's worded, but basically they're either gonna like make or break everything. And the twins of prophecy have a solid gold and a solid silver aura. So in the book, people who can do magic have an aura around them, and they usually have some like specific scent that is associated with using their magic. So I think Nicholas Flamel's is like rotten eggs, I think. Somebody's is like rotten eggs. I think Sophie's is more like citrusy, maybe. So they have this aura that surrounds them, and it's colorful, and their magic has a particular smell to it. Somebody might be iron too. I can't remember exactly who's smelled like what. But anyway, the characters realize that both Sophie and Josh have a solid gold and a solid silver aura. So then immediately everyone thinks that they are the twins of prophecy and want to use them for their side of this battle. So Dr. John Dee is trying to bring back the Elder Race, which is like all of the old powerful gods who are going to rule over humanity and possibly wipe everybody out. And Nicholas Flamel wants to stop that from happening because they weren't good whenever they were ruling, so he does not want them to come back. And if I'm remembering, the city that they kind of lived in was Atlantis. Josh and Sophie have powers, and those powers need to be awoken. So Nicholas Flamel, Scatty is the other character. Okay, there's so many consonants in her name, I really don't know how to pronounce it. She's called Scatty in the book, which I'm really grateful for the nickname because I don't know. Skathatch? I'm not really sure. I'm sure I butchered that. But anyway, she's a vampire. So she's part of this kind of crew of Nicholas Flamel, Scatty. Hecate ends up joining them as well. not really by choice, but they go to a shadow realm that Hecate lives in. So she has created this realm where she can live in peace. She has this big tree that she lives in, and she has agreed to awaken the twins' magic, even though it's extremely dangerous and it's possible that they could die while doing so. Nonetheless, she thinks it's important, so she has agreed. And in the middle of her awakening Sophie's powers, Dr. John Dee, the Morrigan, and Bastet all attack the Shadow Realm, and Hecate is killed in that battle. As far as we know, I keep thinking like maybe she'll come back, but so far there's confirmation that she's dead, but we'll see. So Sophie's powers have been awakened, but she has absolutely no idea how to use them. So she has just really extremely powerful senses. Like, she can hear and see things that are super far away. She can smell everything. And she's just like super overwhelmed by all of that because nobody taught her how to use those powers. And Josh has absolutely none at this point because he was not awakened so far. So toward the end of the story, they end up going to find the Witch of Endor, who at the very least can train Sophie in how to use her powers. So where this story ends, Sophie is awakened. She's gotten a little bit of knowledge from the Witch of Endor on how she might use her powers. Nothing has happened for Josh yet, but they are on their way to, I believe, Europe to try to find somebody of the elder race that's not crazy evil who can help Josh awaken his powers and also both twins learn how to use them. So at this point, John Dee does not have the pages of the Codex. They are still in Nicholas Flamel's possession, and they are on a search to get the twins all trained up in the art of magic. So that's essentially it. I mean, there's a lot more that happens like in the story, but there's a lot more details that I could share, but we would be here for a really long time. So thinking back to preteen Sara / teenage Sara, would she have enjoyed this book? I think the answer is yes. If the mythology aspects alone weren't enough, I think I would have been really interested in just the storyline. You know, those like mortal teenagers coming to power would have been an appealing storyline, I think. And so to answer my question, did I miss out by not reading this? I think the answer is probably yes. I could see this being a series that I was like obsessed with, like Harry Potter, or well, I was obsessed with Eragon for a minute. Yeah, but something along those lines. Like I could see this being an obsession for a while and just kind of powering through all of the books. So did I miss out on that? The answer is yes. I think I am going to continue the series because it's really fun and fast paced. So I think I'm going to continue the next book, which is called The Magician, and see what happens with Josh and Sophie and their powers. So if there are any like middle grade age books that you think I missed out on and that I should read, please comment below and let me know what they are. I'll add them to my growing list of books to read. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.